Welcome back to the Land of House vlog. Today, Emma and I are at the park and we are getting some good exercise. We bought her a ball, but she doesn't really do much with it besides just carry it around. Ashley is going to spend most of the day writing in her book, and Emma and I are just going to do some fun things. Kind of a daughter-dad day today. Ooh, that's dirty. Yeah, at least leave that alone. Good job. Birds.
Yes, I will.
Be gentle and pet the bunny.
Where did you get him? Here, let's make this easier.
Emma and I went to see my parents for a little while and got a phone call from Ashley saying that her tire light was on in the car. And sure enough, we've got a flat. So time to get this off and take it to town and see if they can patch it. There are several things I don't care much for about this car. And one of them is that it doesn't come with a jack or a tire, a spare tire. It's got those inflatable, anyway, it's got like slime basically that fills the holes with a can of air. I don't care much for it. Also, it only has one keyed entry door. Don't care much for that. And it's too short to get in and out of. I don't know, they're just things that I don't like too much about it that I like about my car. The step on it method has always been the most effective for me. Alright, I think those are all loose now. Let's put this thing up. So. Well, it took a good bit of work, but I got it off. I used a hammer and a board behind the tire to hit it hard enough so that I was able to get this popped off there. It was just a little bit rusted, but anyway, it's off now, and we'll take it to the shop and see what they say about it. If it's too far gone on the sidewall, or what's gonna happen. That was a day-long ordeal. I guess that's what we get for living out in the middle of nowhere. So I got Ashley a new tire because the other one had a puncture on the sidewall. It was all the way through, so it's pretty ugly. Whenever Ashley called, I said, well, stop as soon as you can and look to see if you can see a place where it's got like a nail or, you know. So she looked at it and she said she kicked on the tire, and she's like, I could push it in pretty far. And I was like, okay, a 90-pound girl can push in a tire pretty far. It is 100% flat, so, and it was, but luckily no other damage was done. So I'm gonna get this thing installed, and hopefully we'll be good for a while. Well, the tire is now back on, and hopefully we'll be there for a while. At least she's got one brand new tire that I won't have to replace here in a year or so. Well, I thought I would walk up the hill and see how bad the leak was in the water tower. In the previous vlog, I turned on the water to my garden, and there was a loud pop. And that pop, I think, was water hammer snapping against this component right here. And there is a dripping leak, but it's not terrible. But the tanks are full. Check this out. That's how much water is pumping out of the ram pump right now. So I need to measure that and see just how much the flow rate is all the way up here. Because this thing is pumping from the creek, which is way, way down there. So far I'm impressed with this setup. It seems to be doing quite well. I've got the 100 gallons here, and it's tied in together. But definitely a lot of water to be pushing down to the garden. I was just standing here filming this for you, and I thought, what if I actually used the overflow water? So I came up with an idea. There's the overflow. It's a pretty good little stream. And I came up with this little piece, which will be big enough to let water escape if the hose ever stops up, or if I close it. But it'll pull water down the pipe, hopefully. And that way, I guess I have to go over this log though. Let's see here. So I'll be able to use the water down at the house to water some grass without having to turn on the well water. Let's give it a try. So, and my thoughts were, if I close up the garden hose down there, it's still going to be able to overflow out of this piece. So there we go. Let's go down there at the bottom of the hose and see what's happening. Now down here at the house, I've got this really awesome flow of water that I can use as maybe some drip lines, and I can feed these attempted grass plugs that I've put in here, and that way it'll be able to water them without having to use the well. Good morning. It's a work day for me. I've got about 20 minutes before I have to leave the house here. I work at a group home for adults with developmental disability, and the kitchen table is too short or low to the ground for a certain wheelchair to fit up under. And so I'm going to cut a couple of legs extensions for that table because I measured it, and all it's needed is about a 1/2 inch. So doing 1.5 inches of 2x4 should do quite well. So let me cut that down real quick. One of these days I'm going to make a cart for this thing because I don't have to bend down here every time. Knock these sharp edges down with some sandpaper real quick. And lastly, to keep the table from sliding off these legs, I'm just going to put 2 holes for screws in here. Whoops, backwards. Now sadly, I've not looked at this table to see if these holes are going to be in a good placement, but I may have to re-drill whenever I get up there today. I thought those table legs were good enough for the time being. I'll probably come back later and shave them down to fit better and also stain them. But Ashley and Emma are off to the big city, and so I'm gonna go for a 4-wheeler ride. My neighbor's kids found a new trail and I want to check it out. Yeah, that was fun. Just as I was putting gas in here, my neighbor's boy drove up, and so we went off for the ride, and it was great. So right at 5 miles. Pretty good for a short evening ride. Well, Ashley just called and said she wants some takeout, so I'm gonna head to town real quick and get that. Good morning. So my brother-in-law and I and one of our friends decided to drive 2.5 hours away to go see Evanescence and Lindsey Stirling in concert. I've heard Evanescence songs before and they're okay, but definitely wanted to go watch Lindsey Stirling. And concert was really great. That's the second concert I've ever been to. The other one was Weird Al about this time last year. You can find that video somewhere in my list of videos. It was all good except for these 4 miners that were obviously quite drunk. And they kept getting asked by the people around to settle down and enjoy the concert. And they just kept getting louder and louder, cursing and swearing and lighting up cigarettes. And besides them, it was a fun time, but after a while, my brother-in-law leaned up to him and said something to them quietly about being minors drinking and smoking in a no smoking section, and they quickly settled down. So anyway, heading up to my parents' house for another Saturday morning breakfast. They just had a whole bunch of trees removed this past week. Mom said it was 10 trees. So I'm expecting this place to be quite different than what I'm used to over the years. And so we'll see just how much sunlight is peering through up here. Before, like if you would go on the maps, Google Maps or whatever, you couldn't even see their house through all the trees. So let's turn this corner up here and see how bright it is. Yep, the roof is getting sun that's never had sun before. Man, look at those logs. That's much better though, because the trees used to be looming over the house. So anyway, I'm glad that they can sleep better at night knowing there's not big limbs hanging over the house. Well, I didn't show you the hike we went on, but it was definitely an enjoyable one. So I think we're gonna wrap up the vlog here. We are gonna just have some supper here back at the house, and I have to go back to work this evening. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully in the next vlog it'll be just as exciting. See you next time. Bye.